yes, today's video we are going to focus on CAs turning into MBAs. Over here we have Shweta and Saurabh. Interestingly, both of them are from Mumbai, where I am from as well. So yeah, I think let's just dive into it. Shweta, why don't you introduce yourself, your background, and stuff like
Yeah,
that?
yeah. Yeah, sure. Thank you, Shivam. So, I'm a chartered accountant. I cleared in May 2019 in first attempt, and I am based in Mumbai. And post my CA, I worked for 5 years, 3 years in banking, 1 year in a fintech startup, and 1 year in an NBFC. And after 5 years, I decided to take the plunge into an MBA. And currently, I think I loved what I was doing here for 1 year, and then right now, now I guess I'm moving to consulting. So my career until now has always been in finance, either in finance and accounts or financial planning and analysis. And now I
Hmm.
think I'll be taking a pivot towards consulting in transformation, etc.
All right, Saurabh, what about you?
I'm also a chartered accountant. I cleared my CA in May 2017. Post that, I have changed industries couple of times. Initially, I was in an exchange. Then I worked in an investment bank. And then I worked in a life insurance company.
Yeah.
Post MBA, I'm pivoting to a financial operations role. So it is similar to what I used to do, but in so many ways also different than what I used to do. So that is all about me.
Very interesting. One, I think, question, which is my personal question, is that after studying so much for one of the toughest degrees in India, uh, why would someone have the motivation to study more, especially at the age of 30, after you've kind of achieved a bunch of things. So yeah, anyone can pick this up and kind of talk about why would chartered accountants want to pivot?
So I'll start. One of my reason for pivoting is because my career goals have changed from the start. So if
Mm.
I look at myself before I started my MBA, I had more inclination towards entrepreneurship and starting something of my own. And for that
Mm.
reason, I felt that an MBA would complement my existing degree in a much better way. So that was one of my reasons. And if after looking back at 1 year today, I think I guess I'm more confident about doing it, maybe
Mm.
because of the skills that I've learned, and it worked as a compliment for me in my case.
What about you, Saurabh?
That MBA is more of peer-to-peer learning than studies. So the way we used to study in a chartered accountancy was reading. It was very through the books, very academic course. MBA is not that. You play sports here, you indulge with people of various backgrounds, and you learn their perspectives. And actually,
Mm.
that helps you in growing the career.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't say that just do MBA for your career. You will learn lot of life lessons here also. So that is the main reason I came for MBA. Yeah.
Mm. Very cool, very cool. Uh, a lot of folks like have messaged me, new applicants specifically, stating, I am from the finance domain. I'm a chartered accountant or a CFA. Why should they do an MBA? Of course, you have had your personal journeys, your reasoning why you came. But what would be your suggestion to folks who are from the finance domain? If they're thinking of doing an MBA, what should they really think about before applying?
Regardless of being a finance domain or not, what are your post MBA goals becomes the basis of why you should do MBA is what I feel.
Mm.
The in which industry do you have to pivot to? Do you have the requisite expertise to pivot to that industry? And as this MBA is an experience MBA, so your earlier experience also comes into play when you think of your post MBA goals. So rather than degree, I would suggest that what are your main post MBA goals, and what is your current experience which will help you supplement that to make that goals into reality.
Mm. Very interesting. Shraddha?
I think I agree with this point. And adding to that, I guess when you want to move to finance, I think one of your strongest background and foundation is the CA degree itself, more than the MBA,
Mm.
in my opinion, because MBA adds on to it, but fundamentally your basics are much more stronger in the CA course. So
Mm.
if I don't think you should do, like, I agree with Saurabh, you should not do MBA just for the sake of doing something. But if your post MBA goals are in finance, I mean, if you wish to spend your career in finance, I feel like you have already achieved it by doing a CA, and you
Mm.
can easily get on to whatever place you want. And I have seen many people get into investment banking, become CFOs of top countries just by being a CA. So it depends a lot where you want to go.
Mm. That's true. That's true. Do you think the CA degree has helped you academically, so to say, in the MBA? I know, like, we've had like financial reporting and subjects like that where I faced a tough time. But overall, like, apart from those subjects, do you think like other subjects were also kind of tied in with what you guys learned?
Yes, because there are subjects like economics, then there's subjects of, if you have done CFA, then there's DS. CFA has more deeper, things to be learned than what we learn in DS. So if you have learned CS, then CFA, then DS will be a cakewalk for you.
Hmm.
Similar, there was as you mentioned, there was reporting and there was also corporate, financial valuation and all those financial valuation subjects. And
Yeah.
also, if you take finance subjects in your, electives, if you have done CA or CFA or both, then it would be definitely of help to you. You would already have a foundation. You will have understanding of numbers, which then you have to just know more. The base of knowledge is already there with you. You don't have to learn from scratch. So yes, CA definitely helps in some courses you do here at MBA.
Hmm. What do you think, Shweta? Anything you
So
want to
I
add?
I'm a person who did not take any finance elective at all, and the only two finance
That's true.
subjects
That's true.
the only two finance subjects I took were, I mean, that was forced on me, was in the core term, accounts and corporate
Hmm.
finance. So
Hmm.
according to me, I feel like CA helped me a lot in gaining some skills that I don't think I can ever undo for my entire life. One would be discipline, and second would be being organized. Because in CA, you're used to study so much volume of things. You need to be disciplined and you need to be organized. There's no other way you can take a shortcut out of that things. So I feel that I can
Hmm.
literally transfer that skill to any subject now. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what the
Yeah.
subject is. I think I can manage to study it.
That is actually very true because I think you guys learn so much, like you said, volume,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
volume also and breadth also,
yeah. Correct, correct,
right?
correct.
Uh, and I've personally seen, like with Saurabh, I've seen that he has such a breadth of knowledge and not just limited to finance, but also like history, geography. So I think
Yeah,
वो learning का वो capacity and absorption
correct,
capacity is
correct.
also
Yes,
somewhere
yes.
increased. And I've seen that with like all the finance CA folks in our batch. Very interesting, very interesting. So now MBA is almost done. Uh, do you really think that it has complemented you in your personality, number one, and also like your overall career journey, what you can see like 5 years, 10 years from now? What do you think? You wanna go,
So
Shweta?
yeah, I'll
Yeah.
start. So in my personal opinion, I think this 1 year changed me a lot, and it has changed me in a way I could never imagine. I mean, I take an interest in new areas. I mean, I first used to think that there's only one way of doing things. Now I personally feel that there are multiple ways of approaching the same thing, and
Mm.
I have taken more interest in specific areas, and I've started doing research on them, which was
Oh,
not.
okay.
Yeah. And now I feel like I don't spend my, if I get free time, I feel like doing something that's much more complimenting to me rather than I do it on leisure work. That's something I have changed, and I've seen that throughout this year, and especially in the last term, I've taken so many policy subjects like education policy and development economics. Like, I just end up reading one of the other readings from that subject or some novel that was recommended, and I have taken some genuine interest on the subject. This something like that, I would never do it otherwise. And
Mm.
coming to skills, I would feel that I've become a more confident person now. Like, I
Mm.
can present, I can talk to a broader audience. I have
Yeah.
become much better in explaining certain things which I was not before. And I think that would be one thing which I feel like in the CA you live more of a sheltered life. Most of your roles are back end roles, and you don't
Mm.
have that much what do you say, opportunity to present to people. I mean, it would be
True.
there like very few, very few. Now
Mm.
I am like less camera shy person, less I don't have trouble or weirdness while presenting something to people, or I also don't have trouble while talking to a new person now. Like I can go and talk to someone, do networking, and I like which I used to feel weird before.
Oh, 100%. Because I think MBA forces you to do all of these
Yeah, yeah,
things.
correct, correct,
Be
correct,
it be
correct.
it group projects, या फिर
Yes,
presentations. I
yes,
think that is how the
correct.
program is designed. It's like
Yeah,
a
yeah.
very big ice-breaking session and collaboration experiment. But yeah,
Whether
Saurabh,
you
what is your thought? Sorry, you were saying
No, I
something.
was just saying whether you like it or not, there were so many group projects with mandatory presentation in front of the class. Like you literally had no
Yeah,
other option but to do it.
yeah, true, true. Saurabh, your thoughts?
Say personally for me, I have, I guess, developed a habit of being around so many people all the time that, personally, it is going to be difficult for me after the MBA journey. So that
Yeah,
is the thing. It forces you to be around certain people which are not your type. You know,
correct.
you may not be around them in your natural state
Yeah,
of things in your natural life,
I
but it
agree.
Natural
forces.
state.
So yeah, so that, and I guess that is the essence of MBA. It is, I would be going very, straight on this, that it forces you to be around people whether you like it or not. And that
Yeah,
actually, generates the growth that you require in
yeah.
your life.
Yeah.
Because
No,
growth never,
it
happens in the places of comfort. So that is what MBA is all about. MBA is what happens outside the books rather than in the books.
Yeah, no, I think it develops maturity also to
Yeah.
learn new perspective and learn how to listen. I faced a
Yeah.
very tough time in the initial few group projects, I remember, when because you think that your answer is the most
Correct.
appropriate and the best answer because you come from that domain, right? Or
Mm.
whatever.
Yes, yes.
But then suddenly someone flips the switch and says कि नहीं ये ऐसा भी सोचा जा सकता है. So collaboration, I think it's a large social experiment and collaboration. Now coming to like subjects, I know Sweta, you kind of touched upon some subjects over there, but what were some of your favorite subjects apart from finance, of course?
Mm. Oh, I never liked finance. That's out of question. I never liked studying it. No, my favorite subject, even in the core term, used to be economics, micro, macro,
Yeah,
both. In
yeah,
electives, it is again a development economics, public policy, and again international economics. So I love them because I think that is something I missed while I was doing CA. Economics is something you just touch upon even in your UG program, but you never went into detail, and I felt like I missed out on going into detail. Like I should have done something like that. And CA, you have a law like subjects, like you have taxes, you have corporate law, but never as such social aspects of things. So that is something I felt like I got it well covered here.
Interesting. Saurabh?
True. My favorite subject was also economics and, company and strategy.
Hmm.
The marketing was also one of my favorite subject, though I couldn't understand much of it. But yeah, it was one of my favorite because it added a perspective that, how to sell a product or how to market a product. Because you make a product, but if you cannot tell the customers how it solves their problems, then that product is useless. So marketing taught me that.
Hmm. Very interesting. Just give me a second. मेरे को एक कॉल आ रहा है. Hello? Okay, brilliant. Uh, I lost the chain that I was thinking. Okay, ठीक है. Yeah, so I think studies is definitely like one part of everything, but like talk about the other experiences, life at campus. Specifically, I am Bangalore. What do you think about the people over here, the culture? Yeah, anyone who wants to touch upon that.
I can start. So I guess it's a very, very, very beautiful campus. Very aesthetic, green all the time, cats everywhere, dogs sometimes. It's very natural, and I am one person who's always, you'll always see me walking around the campus, either with a group or alone, but I'm always walking around the place. I really love like walking around this place so much, and even the sports complex is great. I played TT so much time, so many time. I broke my leg while playing football, and there is something about this place that makes you do a lot of things, even it's very difficult to be in your room and become constricted to studies. You will
Yeah.
find that you need to do get out and do something else, and that is something like a pull. I don't know how to say it, but that is present here, and that's great. Even if you look at our batchmates, some people, even including you, Shivam, you guys do music and whatnot, right? I mean, every one of the other person is doing something in addition to studies. That is very beautiful to see. And on top of that, if you ask me personally, one of my best phases of this 1 year was spent inside the classroom listening to lectures from the professors. The professors
Mm,
are like world class. I mean, each and every lecture used to give me something new to think about, and something I know for a fact I'll take away something new. And for me, this was consistent across from term 1 to term 6. And
mm,
I generally don't miss any lectures. I sit each and every one of them, irrespective of the topic, whether I like it or not. But I really love that experience, like sitting in a class, listening to someone speak, and that too from people who have like who know like everything about that subject you can, right? So that I
yeah,
think, in my opinion, that was the best part.
yeah. Saurabh, what about you?
So the best thing about IIM Bangalore is in a span of 1 year, you play around 5 sports tournaments. I don't think any
Yes.
other college has that. So, and having played most of them, like it was a surreal experience. Like
Yeah, yeah,
every 2 months, you are playing some multiple
Yeah,
sports in a span of 2 3 days, getting hurt, bleeding, and still playing, and you
yeah,
don't get chance to recover. And there are
yeah.
classes over them. So it was a surreal experience from me. I guess that was the best moment of my the college life, like playing sports here.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I mean, Saurabh and I have traveled for Sangharsh, which is the main inter-IIM event between ABCL. They we played a bunch of, and it's super fun. I mean,
yeah,
if you enjoy playing sports, then I think IIM Bangalore has one of the best sporting cultures. Amazing people who will always
yeah,
be encouraging. Even if you don't know how to play the sport, there is a coach over here. The entire team will kind of push you to at least come and start playing. And eventually you will become an expert in the 1 year because in the evening, like you have some time at least, or you should rather go out and play. I completely agree. The other topic I wanted to touch upon was specifically the 1 year MBA program, right? Lots of misconceptions about is it a real program? Is it a degree? I know that to clarify for everyone, I am Bangalore EPGP is a MBA program. It's not a certificate program. All of us live on campus. What
yes.
kind of pointers would you guys like to highlight about specifically 1 year programs and the EPGP program that people might not know?
Okay, so I think, like you correctly pointed out, it is an official MBA program, a residential program where students come and stay in the hostel, and just it's as similar to a 2 year program. I think it's the best program suited for people who have some considerable amount of experience and don't want to start from scratch. 2 year
Yeah.
program often undoes a lot of certain things, right? Like I said, if I take my background, I have 5 years experience, but in a 2 year program, maybe if I take up a very different role in terms of say some pivot, I might have to undo what I did for 5 years and totally start from scratch somewhere else. And also, given the
Mm,
fact that you have 5 years experience, you are also at a considerable age gap, right? We are all mostly between 25 to 30, and at that time you may or may not be as flexible to start something new and compete with
Mm.
freshers at that time. So I guess for that purposes, 1 year program gives a very good step up. Like you can actually, and most of our placements, if you look at it, our previous experiences are actually considered as a
Yeah,
point before you are hired. So that
yeah,
is, I guess, one of the best part of it. And it's equal to a 2 year program, to be honest. Actually, the only part is because it's a 2 year program compressed into one, the academic rigor is quite difficult. In the first few terms, you are lost. You don't know I should do this subject or that subject or this project or what. But once you are done with your immersion, it's like you pick and choose whatever you want. You do it as per your schedule. It's just exactly same as 2 year program.
yeah. Agreed. Saurabh, your thoughts?
Yeah, so basically what they tell us that 1 year program by its course contents is 2 year program crammed into a single year.
Yeah.
So that is by far the definition of EPGP. However, the main part about EPGP is, various people who bring their work experiences, job experiences, and life experiences into it, which you may not find in a PGP.
Yeah.
PGP is more academically inclined, I would say, and EPGP is more your experienced inclined. How can you contribute your experience into classroom to your peers? And
Yeah,
that is what makes EPGP special. So a PGP batch, for example, every year it might follow same structure, same content, but EPGP every batch is different,
yeah,
and it is the cohort that makes the batch.
yeah. Very true. Very true. Very true. What were like things that you didn't know before? Okay, like before applying or before even coming, and like now you want to tell people. Are there any like highlights?
Mm.
No, can't remember.
Oh, actually, not much. I mean, I did go through the
You
brochure, placement report, everything. It's exactly
okay?
what
Super.
this.
Okay, super. The other question, like we just spoke about the 1 year uh, programs, right? Other question that I get often is that, hey, I come from the non-finance background and I want to pivot into a finance career. Wanted to ask, is it possible? Uh, And if yes, then how can people do that? Is MBA the answer to get into investment banking, so to say? What are your thoughts on that?
Uh,
So it all depends on your experience, I would say. See, I would be frank here that investment banking, to get into investment banking, is a younger man's game. So you cannot go into middle management in an bank. It is very difficult to get into an investment middle management bank
Yeah.
in middle management if you don't have that requisite experience. So, but if you have 2 3 years of experience, then you have to scratch that and start from new. Having said that, 1 year MBA, it might be difficult because 1 year MBA, the minimum for EPGP is 5 years. So you are already have that experience. And if you want to get into middle management, then it is a slight difficult to get into an investment bank.
Hmm.
But if you really want to go into other finance background, then I suggest you supplement your CV with other courses like CFA, take some finance courses, and try to find some or other companies which you want to, and get them into placements, is what I would say. It is all about which companies come into placement. So if they like your CV, they'll take your interview. But for that, your earlier experience and your financial degree and knowledge becomes very important.
Hmm.
Maybe there is a case that your domain experience, so for example, you are a civil engineer, and there's a it is a the company is offering a finance role in their civil engineering department or stuff, like buy or sell shares of those companies,
Correct.
any investment bank or any broker. So you can get into that if you have your domain knowledge and you supplement with your finance courses. So,
Hmm.
but it is difficult. Having said that, it is a little tad bit difficult for 1 year courses, for people of 1 year courses to go from non-finance background to finance background.
Yeah, true, true.
yeah,
Shweta,
yeah.
what do you think?
Yeah. I think I 100% agree with this because a 1 year course hiring is so much based on your previous experience. It becomes very difficult to pivot into something that you have never worked on, right? So when you say I want to go to finance, but I've never worked in finance or never done
Mm,
anything, it's I would say not like impossible, but again it becomes difficult. Like we do have finance companies for the placement, they do hire for finance roles, but again you need to have something related to finance in your resume. Like you need to
correct.
have worked somewhere in finance or something like that. And investment banking mostly becomes like from what I have seen, for the junior roles they often prefer freshers. So I guess that would it would
Yeah,
become slightly
yeah.
difficult. Yeah, yeah.
No, it's fair. Even I mean, this was the first time that I also interact with so many finance folks, and I also got to learn that it's not very easy. Of course, nothing is impossible. I think I'm sure, like if we dig deep into our alumni, I'm sure someone has made this
Yeah,
hard
yeah.
pivot in life, right? And maybe it won't happen immediately after the MBA, but maybe it can happen
Yes.
like 5, 10 years
Yes,
down the
yes,
line
yes.
once you show
Possible. Yeah,
interest, right? Yeah, okay. Uh, like following up with that, what are some misconceptions that I think people have with regards to, financial roles and yeah, roles specifically in finance domain after MBA? What kind of misconceptions do you think people have?
I would stick to 1 year MBA. The one major misconception is that you can easily get into investment banking or sales and trading, those sort of roles. So it is
Mm,
not easy. If you have less years of experience,
mm,
then it may be possible. But
mm.
IIMB doesn't offer that program, 1 year program. You have to have minimum 5 years experience.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that is one major misconception that people have.
Okay.
Yeah, I think another misconception I would say is that people often associate consulting with MBB hiring. So most of the time people think that if I finish my MBA, it's always easy to get into MBB. However, it's not at all like I mean I would say it's not as easy as it looks from a 1 year perspective. And also the
Yeah.
companies that come to hire 2 year versus 1 year is actually very different. What they're
Yeah.
looking for is extremely different, right? In 2 year they're just hiring someone for the team. However, in 1 year they're actually hiring someone to lead at a point of time, right? You are actually hired at a mid management level.
Yeah.
So I think that is one of the misconception. Like if I get it, I might get into MBB very easily, I might get into investment banking very easily. However, that's not how it works. You are hired for a mid management position. So
Mm,
you need to develop yourself in a very different way compared to 1 year versus 2 year.
very interesting. Very interesting. Now coming back to like the application process at IIM Bangalore. What are some things that you think specifically chartered accountants and people with finance backgrounds should focus on in their SOPs, in their interviews, and how should they kind of practice and conduct this?
So I would say that it's again the process is somewhat similar to a 2 year process. You give your application, you write your SOP, you get
Yeah.
shortlisted, you go through an interview process, and the result comes. It's exactly same. And in terms of SOP, I guess my focus was more on why I needed an MBA on top of being a CA, and that
Mm,
reason needs to be very strong because one of the most important interview point in my like interview discussion was for around 20-25 minutes was why do you even need an MBA? First convince
mm,
us that, then we'll go to the next question. So you need to be
mm.
like extremely clear and 100% sure that you need an MBA, and you need to go and sell and convince three people on the panel why you need an MBA. As long as you're
Yeah.
strong enough on that point, you should be okay. And because you already have a very high pedigree professional degree, it becomes a very like if I don't have anything to ask you, like I know that you know finance, right? I'm not going to ask you what is this ratio, that ratio. Just tell me why do you need another degree on top of this? So that
Correct.
becomes one of the biggest point. And I guess whoever's trying to apply, they need to be very clear on why they need an MBA, not just from an application point of view, but in general as well. You need to be very sure, like why you need an MBA before making a huge investment of your time and money.
Mm. What about you, Saurabh?
Yeah, I completely agree with what Shweta said, that the process is not very different for non-finance or a non-CA student or a CA student. Just focus on your strength. Uh, just have a good interview, have a good GMAT score, and you will get in. Noted. I frankly, I didn't find anything different than what
Yeah,
maybe the
yeah.
competition for a non-finance or a engineering guy is more rather than CAs. But rather
Mm.
than that, I mean, the interviewers have much more knowledge than you. Always remember that.
Yeah, yeah.
So they will try to
Mm.
destabilize you and everything.
Mm.
So and they it so my interview was not a very finance based interview. They just check how you think and how you react to pressure situations. So finance is just a knowledge you have, but your mentality and your attitude is what gets you selected in such programs.
Yeah, I think I agree. It's majorly an attitude check, honestly.
Yeah, yeah.
But was your interview grilling? Did they grill you a
Mine
lot?
Yeah,
was,
for me,
yeah,
it was
yeah,
very
yeah.
different. So if I could tell some excerpt from the interview, is that all
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So,
absolutely.
as you know, I'm a chartered accountant. So, I entered the room and the interviewer asked me that why are all the CA institute buildings in everywhere in our country very small or not very grandeur when compared to other institutes buildings, say SEBI or stuff. They are not very grandeur. So,
Yeah, yeah.
no amount of financial knowledge can help you answer the question.
How did you even respond to that?
So what I said was that we are a not-for-profit organization. Our fees are
Mm,
very less, so that even the
mm,
unfortunate or those who don't have very high resources can give the exam, and
mm,
whatever our needs are fulfilled in that building. And if we
mm.
require more office space, more building space, then we can definitely build that. So that's how I responded.
Correct. What about you, Shweta? You remember something from your interview?
Yeah, yeah. My interview was very grilling, and there were only two questions where I was grilled the most. The most. One is
Mm,
why MBA after CA, and when they asked me what I want to do after getting an MBA, and I told them what my entrepreneurship plans, they grilled
correct.
me like anything on that, literally anything on that, and just like I mean, I don't know what they wanted out of me after the end of the interview. That's how grilling it was. And it was also a mix of general knowledge. At that time, there was an issue on the SEBI chairman, so they asked me to comment on that, what I think about it.
Mm, correct.
And I think there's a structure to that interview. To be honest, that interview can be very random to very structured. That's how it is.
Mm,
Like I remember, like one of the questions was I used to do a specific work in my previous organization regarding productivity analysis. So he told me
mm,
like, can you tell me what is the formula for productivity? How do you put it in a
mm.
bank? Like I did not expect him to ask me such a in like depth question like what is the formula of specific analysis, but and something like that to directly commenting on some live news that was happening. So it was random, but it is grilling for sure. I mean, it is a stress check and an attitude check, like how much can you stand on your ground when they ask you very difficult questions or from the easiest to easy questions.
Oh, thank you. I think I've asked everyone how was their interview, and everyone said it was very nice. But I'm glad that both of you said that it was grilling because it was grilling for me as well. Anyway, uh, so we'll kind of end this conversation. But I had like a last couple of questions. Um, you know, we've been going to our classes since last year April, and academically to chalo, I think we have learned whatever we wanted to pick up on, right? But what are some things that you think you have learned from the academics, from professors, and from being in the class, which are intangible and like that will stay with you forever?
Hmm. Interesting.
Class
Yeah.
participation is
Yeah,
important.
yeah. Same,
It
same.
helps you as well as others, or it cannot help you and others also.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Class participation. So there is one specific lecture that comes to my mind. This was the corporate governance lecture of Padmini ma'am. When the first day she draw a boat on the sea and she asked us how many ways things can go wrong. and you could actually see the level of answers. There is a guy who is in marine. He would say, "Sir, ma'am, the engine will do this. This conduction will happen." Some finance person will say, "Ma'am, this much percentage loss will happen." You would literally see the nature of answers in that one.
Yeah,
And I think that was the first time I realized there is so much variety in the way we answer. And for us, that's so natural, right? For me, a financial answer is so natural, so that other person is looking at me weirdly, like, what is she saying? And
correct.
when I guess I don't remember whether it was Pratik or someone who said, "Ma'am, the conduction in the engine will go this and that." I was like, "What did he say?" That one lecture, I
I
remember everybody gave their own like domain specific answers to how what all things can go wrong when the ship will drown. And I think that has been carried on for the entire year in a very nice way,
Mm,
where I can see the level of arguments that we make and how it has improved over time. And
yeah.
it is visible, and it's also thankful to the way what Saurabh said, because of the way the cohort is designed. And it's very
Mm,
random, right? Who comes into the cohort is so random. And to be honest, I guess I heard someone saying that this is actually one of the most diverse batches, batch of 26. There are so many people from so diverse backgrounds. You can see that. I mean, you can see that as a it acts as a very huge batch strength. And one of the intangible things would be from the classroom was this class participation arguments that I used to see. And I think that opened up even my mind, right? Instead of thinking
mm,
of one thing as a putting a number on top of everything, I realized there are other ways to look at things as well. So I guess
mm.
that's it.
Very nice, very nice. Now, in terms of like, this is very cliche now that I think about it, but I'd written this question, तो मैं भी बोलने वाला हूँ, ठीक है? Since you guys are finance folks, and a lot has been said about MBA and its ROI, please tell us the formula of
Yeah.
actually
Saurabh, tu
how
bata.
the MBA, actually how MBA ROI should be looked at.
Saurabh, tu bata de.
I mean, there are financial parts, the increase in your salary, the growth, and then there are non-financial parts which you cannot measure in money.
Yeah.
So if you have time, if you can spare money, I mean, you can always earn your money back, is what I feel. But then, and if you have inclination to do something, I guess you should do an MBA, because MBA is the only course where, if you enrolled in any other course, you will be with bunch of engineers, you will be bunch of CAs. MBA is by far the only major course, where you will be surrounded by people who are of very diverse background than yours, learning the same subjects. So I don't think
Mm,
anywhere that such thing happens. So just for the experience, I feel that if you have money, if you can spare money, if you have willingness to learn, and if you have some goals, you should do MBA. Like,
correct.
choose your college, but
Yeah.
you should do MBA, I feel.
And if you can
Very,
get out 1 and 2 years out of your workforce life and come back to
yeah.
college for 1 year, I think that's
Mm.
agreed.
Very, very different and non-financial answers both of you
Yeah.
all gave. कि
That
मतलब
actually,
don't. Mm,
because this is something that's very different for everyone, right? Let's say if I apply pure finance terms, and if somebody gets a package of X, I get a package of Y, I cannot put an ROI and say my ROI is this much percent, or my payback is 2 years. It is applicable to you also. You also do it. However, there are so many other factors in this. So I feel, and to be honest, even I agree with Saurabh, the non-financial benefits here are much more than the financial benefits. I
mm,
mean, there is package is not a benchmark for anyone, right? I mean, you can be anywhere in next 5 years. You have no idea what you would be doing the next 5 years. So I don't think package is a benchmark to put, and package and putting the amount of fees that I put. That's okay. That's okay if I'm doing a textbook calculation. But otherwise, there are so many other factors in play, and you should take the benefit of being in the college, taking the benefit of peer learning. And MBA also has this normalization effect, right? Especially
mm,
this
mm,
EPGP batch, if you look at it, there are people from experience range of 5 to 12. All of them have some or the other significant achievements in their previous workforce. But here they are inside the same classroom as us and learning something. Here we are all like an equal status. That normalization effect actually humbles you down a lot. You may be like, I mean, we have some great people in the batch who have done very good academically, professionally, and whatnot, but they are also sitting inside the class and equally scared in a CNS lecture. So we don't. Yeah,
very
yeah. So
true.
that's
Very true.
that's that's one benefit I think you get.
Okay. And okay, the last question now. Now it's March. A lot of us, lot of, sorry, it's March, and a lot of people are probably planning to do an
Yeah,
MBA. They're
yeah.
currently thinking कि करना चाहिए नहीं करना चाहिए. What are your words of advice for them? And what would be kind of your uh, uh, thing that you want to tell them about IIM Bangalore and EPGP?
Oh, oh, generally I don't know how I don't know how right or wrong this advice is. I generally prefer that if you target round one and round two, it's much more easier. You have good amount of
Mm,
time to work on your applications. You also have what do you say? A good feedback mechanism as well. Round three is more of a rushing time. It's like rushing time for both the sides, from the applicant and as well from the college, because they have to start the next academic year. So I
yeah.
think if you target round one and two, you have enough time, enough comfort to work on your application and everything else that comes with it, right? And before because round one starts somewhere around June or July, you also have good amount of time to improve your scores, your GMAT scores,
Mm.
if you wish to write again and whatnot. So I think that would be one feedback on my side. I'm not sure. I don't want to comment on how much application or conversion is good in each of the respective round, but just from the applicant's time point of view, one and two is more beneficial to the applicant because you get good amount of time. That's it.
Great. Saurabh?
True. I agree with Shweta on this thing that if you are really focused into getting an
Yeah.
MBA, then round one and round two for any college is the most
Yeah, yeah,
important
yeah.
because they fill the cohort in round one and round two, and in the round three they just see, okay, we don't have people of this background, people of that background, and then they try to fill that.
Round three is
Interestingly, I
also
am a
often
round
very
three.
difficult.
And round three is the most difficult to convert,
Yeah, yeah. Round
frankly.
three is actually very difficult. He's right.
So
Because
I guess someone of us
Thank
had
you
done
for
an
making me feel
RTI.
nice.
No, no, someone I don't remember, but someone from our group had made an RTI, and he had asked the cutoff scores, and the round one
Yeah.
were the lowest, if
yes,
I
yes.
remember
Oh,
correctly.
Correct, correct,
Yeah,
correct.
yeah,
interesting.
yeah,
Yes. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Round one were the lowest.
And round three is also that last minute round. People who are
Huh.
not serious also, right? They also applied कि यार देख लेते हैं होता है कि नहीं. That
Mm,
flywheel also you do in round three. So the number of
mm,
applicants is also very high. Very high during round three, and the selection process, the percentage goes down and the GMAT cutoff increases because of that. One and two is very
interesting.
laid back. Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. All right. Cool. Anything else you guys want to say before we close this?
No, all the best to whoever is watching. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Superb. Thank you so much for watching. I will post both of their LinkedIn links in the description. You can reach out to them. They are nice people. All right. Cool. I think we're done.
Thank
Bye
you.
bye. Thank you,
Bye.
Shivam.
Thank you.